Okay, and good evening. So here we are for the 13th video in the Connect Me series, Resource Pack 3, Celebrate Your Street Together. So this evening we're going to talk about co-creating events and devising a socially distant experience. So Alistair, you're going to talk to us this evening. We're going to chat led by you on this, and I know that the unit includes a whole range of wonderful ideas for socially distanced activities on your street. But I've got a couple of questions for you.
Okay.
You mentioned historigoggles. What are historigoggles?
Yes. Well, I love historigoggles. They were one of my happiest discoveries. They're a way of seeing. They're a way of looking back, and it's an attitude of mind as well as kind of a fun thing to do. There's a wonderful photograph that we've got of some scouts wearing historigoggles, or some cubs, which maybe we could share.
We can share. Here we go.
So here they all are, trying to see through the 1930s houses on Sweetbriar Lane and seeing the Bronze Age landscape, which was once there before the square caves were built there. And so by encouraging yourself, your friends and neighbors to put on these historigoggles, you can kind of encourage yourself to see differently, to see the world around you in such a way that you take away some of the modern accoutrements and developments of the place and go back to a time 100, 200, 300, 500, 1,000, several thousand years ago, and really re-engage with the layers of life and history which have made your community what it is today. And they're great fun. As you can see, they make me smile. I love that photograph. It makes me smile every time I see it. But actually, when you go out for yourself, wherever you walk, if you've got your historic goggles on, not necessarily with the hand gesture, but you can see, look for things. There might be a name of a street which doesn't seem of now, that might flash up on your historic goggles, or a building, you suddenly notice that it's different from the other ones around you because you've noticed, and you think, oh, well, that's not that style, but the rest of the street is Victorian. Why is that 1940s? Possibly because it had a bomb dropped on it during the war, but it stands out. And if you've got your historic goggles on, you maybe can imagine what was there before. And as a exploratory device, it's a lovely thing to do. Just take a walk up your street. Are there views which have been there for hundreds of years that are still there now? Wonderful views of the cathedral from St. Thomas in Exeter, sometimes uninterrupted, and clearly the same view, in spite of all the developments in the city over the past few hundred years, that probably is identical to the one that was there certainly 200 years ago, if not more. And so these things help us to connect back. That's why I love historic goggles.
Yeah, I love historic goggles too. And I guess it kind of relates to what we were saying about topography, about stripping back to imagine the hillsides and the valleys, and to really focus on the distant views that you might see from your place.
Yeah. So looking is so much a part of what's important when you're looking to create an event. It's about looking differently. It's about looking with fresh eyes, seeing the place anew. You know, you almost need to imagine that you're some alien coming down to look at the place and go, wow, this place is really interesting. Look at that tree, it must have been there for hundreds of years, as opposed to that wretched tree that throws autumn leaves into my porch or under my car or whatever it might be. So it's actually all of these little details help us to connect by looking at architectural style, by looking at the shape of the road, by looking at the green places, the types of planting in gardens, the names of houses, the street names. All of these things can help us connect back, because often they have a historical connection or are related to a period in your place's development, a developer's penchant for Arthurian legend, or whatever that might be. So that sense of looking and engaging with fresh eyes is a really important, both near and far. It might be a lettering on a house number. That lovely, I love those early 20th century houses which have got painted house names in the window above the front door. They always fascinate me. And they've always got really interesting names. And they kind of surprise me. Why is that house called Derwent? Or whatever? And it makes me wonder where those names came from. Were they given to the house by the developer? Were they chosen by the first owner? Are they part of a fashionable trend at the period of construction? All of these things make me excited. So the looking often reveals interesting things.
I love it. I love it. And it's all about your place then, isn't it?
Yes.
It's all connected to your place specifically. And you mentioned the word authentic. And is
Yes.
that what that's about?
Absolutely. Because whatever you're doing to celebrate your place, it's about making sure that it feels right for your place. You know, you might not, you've got to think very carefully about how you present your place. It's got to be truthful. It's got to represent the people that live there now.
Mm-hmm.
It needs to represent the people that have lived there in the past, the people that have worked there, the people that have crossed this site before there were houses there. It's about looking at how this has changed. You know, was this once a street full of very opulent, very large houses? And those houses have now been cut down so they're all broken down into flats. The houses are the same, but the usage is different. The people who live in them are different. Are the people that live in the houses now from a similar background to the people that lived in the houses when they were first constructed? Or, you know, all of these sorts of things. So the authenticity is about acknowledging all of those things, but also kind of finding the earthiness, the gritty realities, the joys of this place. Really, and it's a celebration, let's remember. So we want some good humor. We want a bit of debate. We want some healthy disagreements between characters or ideas or periods in history. But that sense of authenticity is what makes this place the place that we live in, the place that we love, and the place that we really, really want to celebrate.